Okay, so right now you hopefully see the relation between solving 30, 60, 90 triangles and 45 triangles, the red, green, blue right here, and the first quadrant of the unit circle, which I just cut and paste right here. Okay, hopefully you see that relationship. Now, here is what I believe is a really streamlined, easy way of explaining the unit circle that requires the least amount of memorization and maximizes understanding and maximizes efficiency. Okay, so I taught you how to find these three. Okay, now if you know these three, believe it or not, you know all the green highlights. Okay, because you're basically either reflecting just the x coordinates, okay, or you're reflecting just the x coordinates and making all the x coordinates negatives. That's how we got the second quadrant. Or you're reflecting just the y coordinates and making the y coordinates negative, which is how we got these in the fourth quadrant. Or you're changing all of them to negative, and that's how we got it in the green quadrant, in the third quadrant. Okay, so let me clean up that explanation. Okay, let's just focus on how to get these greens. Okay, let's just focus on how to get these greens. Okay, how to go from yellow to green. Now, I hope we can agree that in order that the yellows and greens, how to get from yellow to green is to reflect it across the y-axis. Okay, so I'm literally just going to change the x values to negatives. Okay, for these. Okay, if I change all these x values to negatives, then I basically get the greens here. Okay, let's just focus in on this yellow. This yellow and this green is related by changing the x value to -1/2. Okay, same thing here. This yellow is related to this green by changing the x value to negative. Okay, same goes here. Okay, this yellow is related to this green. Okay, by changing both the x value and y values. Okay, same logic goes for there. Same logic goes for there. Okay, changing both the x and y values to negatives. Okay, here I'm going to change the y value to negative. All right, I'm going to change the y value to negative. Here I'm going to change the y value to negative to go from yellow to green. And same thing here. Okay, so again, let's recap. Once you know these yellows, you should know all the greens. Okay, you should know all the greens. And the pinks are easy. Okay, that's a no-brainer. Okay, all right. 1, 0, 0, 1. It's a unit circle. Okay, so it's remember, all these radiuses are 1. Okay, therefore, that's how you get the pink highlights, the 4 pink highlights. So we basically, at this point, you know all the yellow, greens, and pinks. Okay, all right. Now, how do you get the degrees? Okay, how do you get the degrees? The degrees is basically going to be, you're going to add 30, add 50, 30, 15, 15, 30, and go on and keep going. Okay, around and around. So I'm going to add 30. Okay, add 15. 30 plus 15 gives you 45. 45 plus 15 gives you the 60. 60 plus the 30 gives you, okay, the 90. I should write it a little in a better location. Okay. Okay, add 30. Let me type it. So here I'm going to add 30. Okay, here I'm going to add 15. 15 and 30. And round we go. 30, 15, 15, 30, 30, 15, 15, 30. And that's how you build the angles. Okay. Now, So here's the deal. If you know the first quadrant, what I really want to hit home is that if you know how to build the first quadrant from scratch, then you should know how to get everything else. Okay, because it's just basically a reflection thing. Okay, for the coordinates, you just keep on reflecting stuff, change certain things to negative. And for the degrees, the pattern is 30, 15, 15, 30. Okay, all right. Now, this happens to be, okay, if we go back over here, all right, let's look at cosine of 30, okay? I want to side hustle this over here. Let me, whoops, let me erase this. Let's get these out the way. And let me get this out the way here. Okay, now I want to focus in on the red. Okay, so remember, I'm just going to transfer these coordinates to the x value here equals to root 3, whoops, equals to root 3 over 2 equals to 1 over 2. Okay, so right now I'm focused. Let's take out some highlights here. I'm focused on these 3 highlights. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'll change this to green. Okay, I'm only focused on the yellow highlights right now. And the way I got these is from the green highlight, root 3 over 2 and 1 over 2. I got it from the green highlight. Okay? Now, let's side hustle this and look at cosine of 30 is going to equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. That's an A, not a 9. Adjacent is going to be root 3 over 2, and hypotenuse is going to be 1. Okay, which equals to root 3 over 2. So cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. Okay, so watch this. Let me change this green highlight. Let me just highlight half of that. So look at this. Cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2, which means this coordinate happens to be the value for cosine of 30. Okay, because it matches. Look, this matches there. All right, which matches with cosine of 30. All right, so that's how I got this green highlight here. All right, now let's go ahead and do sine of 30. Okay, watch this. Sine of 30 is opposite over hypotenuse, which is going to be 1/2 over 1, which is the same as 1/2. And look at this blue highlight that I'm going to write, that I'm going to draw. Okay, boom, 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 boom. And this is going to be, so sine of 30 is 1/2. Oh, look, this happens to be 1/2, which is also sine of 30. Okay, let me draw a dividing line so things don't get too congested here. Okay, so long story short, cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. Sine of 30 is 1 over 2. Okay, so the x-coordinate here happens to be cosine of 30. The y-coordinate happens to be sine of 30. Okay, and you can use that same logic and find that this first value is cosine of 45. This second value is sine of 45. Okay, and you can use the same thing, do the same thing here, the same process here. Also, you can do the same thing for here. This is going to be cosine of 60 and sine of 60. Okay. Now, the most typical mistake people make is that they call this sine and that cosine. Okay, they call this sine and that cosine. It's cosine then sine. Okay, for the x then y values. Now, what about tangent? Okay, let's check out tangent real quick. Now, I want to prove to you that tangent is equal to sine over cosine. I want to prove that to you, okay? Now, do we agree? I hope we do. I should frame it as a statement. We should agree that tangent is opposite over adjacent, okay? We should agree that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and we should agree that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So yellow highlights match and green highlights match. Okay. And look what happens to the H's. Let me get those colors out of the way because it can be too dark for the white and make the white hard to see. Look what happens to the H's. The H's cancel. And O over A, opposite over adjacent, equals opposite over adjacent. They match. So tangent indeed equals to sine over cosine. Okay. Tangent indeed equals to sine over cosine. So if you want to find tangent, for example, let's look at this. Let's go back to this red. If you want to find tangent of 30, okay, if you want to find tangent of 30, tangent of 30 is going to equal to sine of 30 over cosine of 30, which is going to equal to, let me do it right here, which is going to equal to root 3 over 2 over 1 over 2. And the over 2 over 2's cancel, and you're left with root 3. Okay, so tangent of 30, I'm going to sneak in another one. Okay, I'm going to sneak. Yep. Yep, my bad. You're right. I flipped it, right? Yeah, so Max just said that I flipped it, and that's correct. Okay, because in the recording, you're not going to be able to hear the question. So Max just said I flipped it, so it's going to be 1 over 2 over root 3 over 2. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that correction. Now I'm going to cancel the over 2, and I get 1 over root 3. And remember, you don't want to root on the bottom, so you multiply by root 3, and then we're pretty much done. Okay, root 3, and you get root 3 over 3. Okay, so let me add another line over here. Root 3 over 3 is tangent of 30. And let me dip that in a orange highlight. Hopefully the orange won't get too, will match decently with the red. Okay, so orange, here we go. Boom. It's not the best, but let's see what other color I can use. I'll transfer over the yellow. Okay, so there you go. Tangent over, that's tangent of 30, and boom. Okay, so again, x values are always cosine. Okay, y values are sine, and tangent values divide sine by cosine. Okay, I'm actually going to give you the tangent values in the unit circle that I'm going to show you later on. Okay, but I at least want you to know how I got the tangent values. Just divide sine by cosine. Okay. Cool. I think that wraps up this lesson. Okay. Let's see if I can briefly find the unit circle with tangents. I should have it somewhere here. Let's see, unit circle. Where's the one with tangents in it? Written in it. I have it last year for sure. Where's my unit circle at? Useful slides. UC. Here we go. Okay, and let's share this. My unit circle. Okay, and let's rotate it. And let me zoom in. And let's copy and paste. Let's copy and paste this. Okay, let's copy and paste this into boom, boom. Okay, so this is the unit circle that I'm going to hook you guys up with. Okay. Now, I don't want you paying attention to these green highlights. Don't even worry about them right now. Okay, all those green highlights, don't worry about. Okay, going all the way around. Okay, so right now, I don't want you to worry about any of these green highlights. Okay, everything else is the same that you've seen before in the unit circle I showed you earlier, except for these pinks. The pinks are going to be your tangent values. Okay, and look what it says right here, CST, cosine, sine, tangent. Okay, so if you want to find, for example, or sorry, I don't want to frame my question that way. Just check out what I meant to say was check out this undefined. 1 divided by 0, anything over 0 is going to be undefined. Okay, that's why it's undefined. However, if you do 0 over 1, sine over cosine, remember second value is sine, first value is cosine. 0 over 1 is going to be 0. All right, so look out for these pink undefines and zeros. Okay. All right. So that's that. Okay. That's the explanation of the unit circle.